So I wanted to talk about the integration that we were able to work out utilizing notes tables. This relies on NOP's table called order notes, and you can see here I have it filtered for just 2 orders. And NOP uses it to record when an order got placed, an email had been sent to a store owner, email was sent to the customer. We added integration that will tag it a record when post-order message processed, post-order message email to customer has been queued, much like what NOPE did. And then this is order 391, which has not had the post-order message processed yet. The other side of this is if a customer is not a subscriber to the newsletter, we will get a note here that a email has not been queued. So once these tables are populated, we can decide what messages need to be processed. So again, I just filtered for these 2 orders, and I'm looking in another view that I created whether or not we need this a message has been processed. So if you go over here, you can see 390 has been processed where 391 is not, and we're just looking to see if post-order message processed is found as an inner join to the orders table. Has this been found in the notes table? And then we do an inner join to the customer just so we can have the email address. This is very much the same thing. We're just doing a left outer join to the view that checks what post-order messages have been processed, and then we're just checking to see if it's null. In other words, it's not in this view over here yet. It's like 391 is not in here. And the detail supports what the 2 views are saying. So the view is what starts our ETL process. So what orders are needed? And if you do a refresh, you'll see 391 is in our record set. So the first thing we do though is we make 2 copies of each record. So we have our web order ID and then our email address, which we don't need here, but we are going to post order message process. And then we needed a sort order because we split them. And ultimately what we're going to do is post back into our order notes table, and I need to control how they hit. So over here, we do need the email, and we kept along. So the web order ID keeps coming along. And then here, post order message email to customers not sent. Customer is not a newsletter subscriber. To determine that, we did a lookup on the NOPE table newsletter subscription, and we decided that based on the email address. So if we can find it, they're a subscriber. So and that's what this guy does. If we can find the field from the newsletter table, we say not sent. Do not. We're going to post in the table that the order message is not sent. Customer is not a newsletter subscriber. So that's success if it's null or empty. If it is not null and empty, in other words, they are a subscriber, what we're going to do is post a record that says post order message email to customer has been queued. So we do another check. We use a -1 if they're not found in the newsletter table. We need this a little further down the road. If I needed a 2 for my sort, so I went ahead and just used it as my failure. Again, this will make a little more sense when we go to sort these two messages that go into the orders note table. So now that I've made this determination as whether or not they're a subscriber, I put the two together. And it's not a join, it's a union because I want 2 records out of the one, out of each one of those. So typically I make my outputs name the same, so I'm just bringing those fields over. So from here, it's sort order is equal to 2. From here, sort order is equal to 1. And then here's the guy that it really matters. I'm keeping the web order ID together, but then I'm subsorting it by the sort. Then I do my transformation just to create date. Literals, these are just defaults to 0. We're not using these fields. The order ID goes to order ID, and we're not putting the sort field in the destination table, but we are sorting it. So basically what we just went through writes these 2 records. And so the sort order keeps it so we are posting them to this table in the correct order. So as you recall, we did do a split here and then kind of came back and stacked the 2 records back together. I also did another split, and this is where I did a check. Is this number greater than 0? Is it more than 0? If so, that's a failure. Reject the record. And that's based on a field called send. That got populated back here. Send. If I'm not in the newsletter, make it a 2. If I'm in the newsletter, make it a -1. Send. But so send is either going to be a -1 or a 2, and that matters whether or not it's in the newsletter. So if I get past the newsletter, now we're going to get ready to write to the message queue table. There are some fields that we are populating from our view. There are several fields that are just basically hard-coded. So like the priority, we made it a priority of 6, makes it easy to find down the road. We have a current date, we had to format it, but we had to put in the date created. Now here's another literal. And a literal is just I set a value, and this value is 36. Over here, we have a message template, and it was worked out that this would be number 36. So over here, we're going to do a lookup, and what we're going to do a lookup on is record 36. So our source data is the message template. Now I had to do a view, and I'll explain that in a minute. So I'm taking my ID, doing a search like we saw in the other table as an ID. So since the literal is hard coded to 36, we will only ever get record 36. But from there, I pull the subject, the new email body, and the email account ID. And if you ever need to know what these are, you can hold your mouse over them and then see where they're mapped to in the message queue. And then we had to populate this field with a 0 of for the sent tries. Now the reason I did a view and I could not do a um, use the table, we were getting an error from Advanced ETL. The body is a nvarchar max, and for whatever reason, Advanced ETL does not like that. What I was able to do is just create my own field and do a left body 8000. So I called that field new body. I mean, who doesn't want one of those, right? And so if you look over here, I'm actually using the field no body, new body, to go to the body field in the message queue. And then this is the writer that sends it to the queued email. One other thing over here, I hard coded the email for right now until we go live, but it will go to my email address. So now if we run it, so let's see what we got. In messages processed, it now shows 391 as an email that was post order message that was processed. Post order needed should be blank now, and it is. And to support what those are saying, if we do a refresh here, those two records got written. And if we go to the queued email and do a refresh, there is in fact a new email that was queued to send to me. Do a send receive. There's my email. Looks nice.